Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
Peter.
Yes.
I put a pregnant pause there between triple and jump, but that's not true.
How far along is the pause? Second trimester?
At least 7 months.
Oh, congratulations.
But one thing a lot of people get wrong is that there isn't actually a space between triple and jump, at least in our title.
You're right.
Everybody puts a space. It's not. It's all one. It's legally all one word.
TripleJump.
TripleJump. Which means that we're not a sporting contest. We're a video game outlet. I think, even though I'm sure the video game move of the same name actually has a space, but that doesn't matter. Welcome along to the podcast. I hope you're well.
Oh, well, yeah, I am. I hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I guess you were talking to the audience.
Well, I was talking to you too. I was talking to everybody in the room. Are you well, Billy?
Billy?
He's always well.
Billy Ray Walrus.
Yes, exactly. Before we go any further, Peter, this podcast is sponsored on a week-to-week basis by a real company.
You carry on. I'm just checking my hair.
You're just preening.
Forgot to do it before I. Not that I don't put a lot of effort in, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't doing that or that or.
Looks great. Did you just dab accidentally?
Possibly, yeah.
I think you may have just dabbed.
Please continue.
Peter has the ad read there.
I do.
For this week. Take it away.
So when you got a corpse.
Yes.
When you've got a corpse to deal with.
Always.
And it's a real nightmare because they go all stiff, they go all rigor mortis. They go all stinkums after a while and cold, and it's just not a very convenient thing to move around. The worst thing that not a lot of people know about is they go really sort of rough and sort of like
a pommel stone.
Yeah, a pumice stone.
Pumice. Like a hummus stone.
Like a hummus stone.
Like a pommel horse.
A pommel horse is
a pumice horse.
Doing gymnastics.
Like Horace's horse.
They do go just like a pumice stone.
Yes.
Fortunately, there's a new service in town that will help with your rough-skinned corpses.
In town?
In town. Just call 0800 123 557 and get in touch with Death Sanding.
Oh.
The Death Sanding Company.
Okay.
They will come around, deal with any of your dead, and just sand them right down.
Fantastic.
So they're silky smooth as a dead baby's bum.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, God,
What are the applications, Peter, for a smooth dead body? What can I do with my new smooth corpse?
They're much more comfortable to sleep on.
Right.
Not with, just on.
That's a big problem I have.
Yeah. You can, I don't know, they wipe clean easier.
Mm-hmm. No crevices.
No crevices there. If you spill like strawberry jam or pizza sauce or...
Yeah.
Piss
mushroom,
toy slime, piss mushroom. Yeah, it all comes right off.
Okay.
And they also just look better to be with.
Okay.
If you sort of prop them up in some sort of contraption and walk them around town as though they're actually alive and they're your partner. They just look better.
Like Weekend at Hiddeo's.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an exfoliator service for your corpses. So just call Death Sanding today, and they will sort that out for you right now.
Amazing. I do have a question, though.
Yeah.
Will the death sanding affect the facial features of the deceased?
No. It's all natural, organic processes that don't affect faces.
I trust you.
Yeah.
And I trust the person who runs Death Sanding implicitly. I'm sure definitely he has done a great job.
Well, the thing is, he's had really good companies before, so this one can't be bad.
No.
That's how it works, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Do you remember the company that turned off your PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
I loved that one.
Yeah.
It was called My Gear is Solid, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a service where they made parts of your machinery just more firm and durable. My Gear is Solid. And because he did a good job of My Gear is Solid, definitely the Death Sanding service, it can do no wrong.
It's going to be absolutely objectively brilliant. But that's a lie! Because not only is that advert
I've removed it.
Totally fake.
It's gone.
It's gone, as has a bit of the question.
Oh,
it's fine. I've sort of your plug on it. What's on the second page there?
Some of the social medias.
You know them. You know them all anyway. Not only is that a lie, but it's also a lie about Death Stranding. It's gone down his shirt. Death Stranding being objectively brilliant.
Yeah.
Before we get any further, thank you to everybody who asked questions about Death Stranding. We know that by the time this is released, the reviews are out, the game is out. We have not played it yet. Yes, of course, there are reviews that differ wildly in their appreciation of this game, just as all of us knew.
Yeah.
It was never going to be another Metal Gear Solid. It's too weird for everyone to say it's great. We are going to play it, but it won't be until next week. So we will reserve talking about it too much until then.
Yeah.
Yes. But in terms of sponsors, the real sponsors are our wonderful supporters over at patreon.com/team TripleJump. You can support us from $1 over there, and then you can submit questions for the show. Speaking of which, Peter.
Yeah.
We've got Christopher Ridge here.
Christopher Ridge.
Do you spy him?
I've been there on holiday.
On Christopher's Ridge.
It's a very nice place for a bit of glamping. Christopher Ridge.
What do you take along to your glamp, usually? Glamour camping. Glamour camping is what this is.
A bit of makeup and a nice wig, a pretty frock. That's what the glamour is, isn't it?
I think so. And a little bit of moniker, I've heard as well.
Yeah. Christopher Ridge says, what protagonist from any game would you most admire or aspire to be? I find BJ Blazkowicz from the most recent Wolfenstein. Did I say Wolfenstein? Wolfenstein games to be the pinnacle of healthy masculinity and heroism. I find the sincerity behind the character and writing to be truly inspirational.
He's a good boy, BJ, isn't he?
He is a good boy.
He's got some genuinely touching backstory moments, and the monologue in his head is always talking about his wife. And during the first and second game about his unborn children / childs.
Yeah.
And then when he appears in this year's mega fart, Wolfenstein Youngblood, it's all about raising his girls to kick ass and be, self-possessed and powerful and
What a guy.
Cool. He's a really good dude. And you look at him and you think, look at this meathead.
Yeah.
But actually, he's a nice boy.
He is.
He's a good boy, that Beej.
I've got a couple of answers here. One of them I'll just do quickly because it's actually pretty much the same answer as I gave, I think, in the last podcast when we were asked, what character from a horror game would you be?
Right, okay.
Leon Kennedy, I just think is like the pinnacle of... he's not the same kind of man's man as BJ Blazkowicz is. I think Leon is a bit more metrosexual.
Yes.
He probably uses a lot of moisturizer.
I think he does.
Product
in his hair.
He's still a great action hero. You kind of feel like he can just handle anything that will get thrown at him, and I'd love to be that guy. So him. But to give an answer that's not the same as last week, Peter Parker / Spider-Man from... Petey Parks from the Spider-Man PlayStation game.
Okay.
I guess almost any Spider-Man I would aspire to be in terms of the superhero abilities. But even just Peter Parker as a guy, particularly in that game, he's really clever. He's got a beautiful ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
Everyone seems to like him. The only issue is he can't seem to pay his rent. But if he was that clever, he'd just leave Oscorp and go and work for... Not Oscorp, Octavius
Industries, I think.
Yeah, and go and work for Oscorp or somewhere else. Just earn more money and then live like a king.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Yeah.
I wish
so clever.
Wish he had the time for it, but he's too busy crime fighting.
I know, there's that too.
He's a very relatable guy as well.
Yeah, he is.
Because, we're all... Everybody swings from building to building, metaphorically.
Yeah.
There's a certain bit in it where he's texting MJ, and it's just... Not Michael Johnson. He's texting MJ, and it's very...
Or Michael Jackson.
Definitely not that guy.
No.
And I think everybody has been there regardless of gender and life experience, where he's sending a message. It's sort of like, I think they've fallen out over something, and he's just sat there wearing his Spidey suit on top of a building, just sort of rocking back and forth like, oh, come on, please.
Yeah.
And you can see she starts replying and then stops. And he's like, and that's very relatable.
I think there's that other bit where she's asked him to like meet for dinner to talk about the case that they're working on, not necessarily to rekindle the relationship. And he's like swinging along, and he's like in his head, he's either practicing what he's going to say on the phone or what he's going to write in a text. And he's like, "Hey, MJ." He's like, no, that's not. And so, hey, Mary Jane. No, I can't do that.
Too formal.
We've all done that as well. Just sat there and done ridiculously specific iterations from one to the next. No, I can't do that. It's all the same. Just say, "Hey, I want to give you a good evening with a dinner, and come round for a glass of wine afterwards."
Where you were going with that one.
And come round for a glass of wine afterwards.
Holy buckets, babe.
Yeah.
Your face is cake and I'm going to eat it.
Say whatever you like, and they'll, just be yourself.
If they're the right person, they'll like it. They'll be
Unless
all about
being
that.
yourself means sending a message saying, "I want to make you come round for a glass of wine," because that's not. No.
Some people are into that, but make sure you know the person first. Anyway, that's why P.T. Parks is a good boy. I've written Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII.
I thought you said you've ridden him. God, it's all going off.
It's not Valentine's Day yet.
No.
We'll see, though.
Yeah. So
he is initially cold and quite hateful towards everybody. He doesn't really know what his past is. I mean, I feel hesitant to talk about spoilers for Final Fantasy VII, the 20-year-old game, because it's coming out again soon.
Yeah.
So a lot of people won't have or might not have experienced it and are waiting.
Yeah,
so I won't go into detail. But basically, he's got a really nice character arc where he goes through all sorts of emotional trauma and turmoil and has complete identity crises, and he grows closer to his sort of a wacky group of friends/family as he goes, and by the end he's just sort of like an inspirational leader of these people who's leading the charge against the destruction of the planet, and he's trying to save it, whereas at the start he's just like, "I don't care, I'm just here for the money." And it's a cool arc, and he looks great in a dress.
We both pick people with foppish hair, haven't we?
Well,
Leon Kennedy and
foppish and spiky.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I suppose if you
spiky.
take the product out, then yeah.
I just mean it moves in sort of
in mysterious ways.
Yeah,
it is its own being.
Yeah,
the hair symbiote from Spider-Man.
Yes,
has them both. So that's what I'd go for. Go for a little bit of Cloud in my life.
Okay,
and that's that question.
Yeah,
it's time, Peter, for a new section. We've never done it before. It's called Whoa Whoa Peter, were yupper? Question mark.
IBPR.
That's my initials.
Yeah. I have been playing Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh, that's the new one.
The one that people don't like very much. So
is the update fixed?
They fixed it.
Okay.
So that has happened. So as I mentioned previously, either on the last podcast or maybe not even that, it might have been in a live stream or something. There was a recent update that like broke the game for all console users who it was just like crashing their PlayStation and corrupting their save data. Fortunately, I had my save data backed up, but it was all bad. Couldn't play the game, and I was annoyed because it was the first time I'd booted it up for a long time because they'd added a load of content. And I was like, "Oh, I'll give this a go."
Oh.
And no, it was broken. But they fixed it. It's now working, as well as it normally does, which is not 100% well, but pretty good. It's just occasional choppiness, but it's always had that, which isn't great. But nevertheless, I'm still quite enjoying it. They've got a mode. I don't know if you've heard of Ewok Hunt. Have you heard of that?
I've not heard of that.
Do you remember in the old Star Wars Battlefront 2, there was a game mode, not as popular as, Heroes versus Villains or Galactic Conquest, that was called Hunt, where one team would be some kind of regular soldiers, either stormtroopers or rebels, and the other team would actually be some kind of indigenous wildlife.
Oh.
And this is in the original Battlefront 2. It was really good. So there was one where I think you could be Tusken Raiders and or Jawas versus... Or in fact, I think it was Tusken Raiders versus Jawas in Tatooine, which is really cool. They did one where it was Rebels versus Wampas in the Hoth Echo base, the Wampas with the big Yeti fellas.
Right.
And there was also one that was Stormtroopers versus Ewoks on the forest moon of Endor. So now in the current Battlefront 2, they've added essentially a replica of the latter, where you play as stormtroopers and there's Ewoks coming after you. But it acts as a sort of it's like an infection game mode where there's only like 2 Ewoks at the start, but if they kill a stormtrooper, the stormtrooper becomes an Ewok, like respawns as an Ewok.
See.
But it's all presented in this almost sort of survival horror
oh my god
kind of scenario where it's like guerrilla stealth tactics from the Ewoks, and it's pitch black. You've got a torch on your gun. That's the only thing that you have. And without the torch, you can't actually see at all. Jesus. And the torch slowly runs down to 0, and then it like has to recharge for about 3 seconds. So you occasionally have to turn your light off, and all you hear is mostly silence. There's a lot of like, just sort of waiting around, almost in fear of the Ewoks. And then now and then you'll hear like, woo woo woo.
Oh
and,
my
like,
god!
come at you.
I hate that.
And sometimes the Ewoks have an ability that like buffs them, but in order to activate it, they have to blow their horn. So they go like, just in the dark.
Oh god!
It's actually really quite like,
it sounds frightening.
Atmospheric. Yeah,
I don't like it.
So that mode has been around for a while, but they recently added a costume for Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, the ones that they're wearing when they get their medal in A New Hope. And the Han Solo one you just buy with the in-game credits that you earn for winning matches. But the Luke Skywalker one you will be able to buy, I think, going forward. But until, I think a couple of days ago, time of recording, you could unlock that by killing so many people in a game of Ewok Hunt. Right. So I ended up playing a bit of that, even though I don't normally. And it was quite fun. Quite enjoyed it. Would have been better in the spooky season, but the game was broken in late October. So
they really just smashed it, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. So I've been playing some of that, and I carried on playing it even after I'd got my Luke Skywalker costume. And I'm looking forward to the Rise of Skywalker content that will be coming soon. Don't know what it's going to be, but yeah,
rising just big old Skywalker scrapers.
Just a giant Luke Skywalker comes out of the ground.
In every map.
Yeah.
It's going to be the new Spook Week.
That's what happens in the film as well.
I think so. I've heard that.
That's why it's called
I've seen
Rise
the
of
leaked
Skywalker.
Script.
Yeah.
Or it's some kind of porno, maybe. We'll see, though.
Possibly, yeah.
Could be either.
Ben, will you play?
So I play a little bit more Borderlands 3 Endgame stuff. Just it took me way too long to discover that actually the Halloween event that's still ongoing, that the quest he gives you, is repeatable. And I didn't realize. I was like, he's got a new quest. We did it 3 times before we thought, hang on, this...
Really?
We just sort of assumed that we were going back to the same area and maybe the difficulty was raised a little bit.
Yeah.
But then on the 4th occasion it popped up, we actually paid proper attention to what the quest was called, and it was just identical. So okay, never mind then. Won't do that again. But finished off. God, I got to level 50.
Yeah.
I finished off, which is the level cap. Finished off the. Oh, there are trials you can do. Oh. Did all the trials. Now there's just it's just mopping up, really. And then I should have that platinum.
Platypus.
Yes, that platypus.
Duck-billed platinum.
Excited for the first proper DLC to come out. I'm not sure when that is. I know they've announced it already, but I've got the season pass. Looking forward to it. Big thank you to Patrick Fenn, our friend over at Gearbox, for sending us an additional copy of Borderlands 3.
Thank you, Patrick.
So we've got one in the office as well, which makes it so much easier to cover it and stuff, innit? So I've been playing that. Played a little bit more WWE 2K20 because it's just a horror show I can't look away from, apparently.
Yeah, like a car crash on the motorway.
Yeah, I'm just morbidly fascinated to see in what new horrifying ways it can go wrong. I've got quite the selection of clips on my PS4 saved now.
Oh, yeah.
Just like when people roll out the ring and their entire bodies just contort horrifically, getting caught up in the ropes and just sort of your entire torso being dragged back a few feet. Just normal stuff that happens in WWE.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. And finally, at the time of listening, I will be having my biannual game weekend with my friends.
That seems to come around quite quick.
Yeah, well, the first one was in March or April.
Was it?
Yeah, or maybe March or February. Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
So that was Bloodborne. We played through all of Bloodborne, me and a couple of friends. And now it's Dark Souls 3. I'm going to play through Dark Souls 3. And they're coming up here, which is nice, so I don't have to go on a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
And it's super convenient because all the food in the world is available on Deliveroo and Uber Eats and Just Eat.
Fantastic.
Whereas, going to some small town/village doesn't really give you the same options.
Yeah, you're
so it
right.
just means I won't have to leave and I'll be able to play through Dark Souls 3, and I'm very excited
For a
for
whole
that.
weekend.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing. Not a huge amount else, really. We'll have played Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, I played Jedi Outcast on stream and hated almost every minute of it. I can see that it's a good game, but it was just so difficult. Like, it was one of those where if I wasn't streaming it, I'd probably have a lot more fun.
Right.
But it's the whole juggling of chat and just everything.
There are certain games that just don't work for streaming, in my opinion. Not in the same way, unless you guys are happy just to sit there and not be interacting with at all.
Yeah,
because some streamers do that, and some streamers sort of strike a pretty good balance of occasionally looking at chat but concentrating on the game. But that's not how we do it, really. Chat is a very big part of our stream, so we have to play a game that actually lets us, that allows us the mental faculties
to so much on the game
to interact with you.
Yeah.
There we go. Question 2.
It's from Luke Bentley.
Oh, nice car, Luke. Video games today are coming out at an incredible speed and volume. But do you think there are any genres that somehow don't seem to get much representation? I'm surprised no one has tried to go into westerns with the success of Red Dead Redemption, for example. Firstly, it's been a little while, but Call of Juarez did do western kind of stuff after Red Dead.
Call of Juarez.
The original one, because the PS3 ones were not good at all. But that certain games have done. I suppose it's just games are so expensive to make, Peter. And when you've got something like Red Dead Redemption 2, why would you even try to compete with that?
Yeah, I guess so. It's a little bit like when True Crime Streets of LA came out and everyone said, oh, it's going to be the new GTA.
GTA killer.
And it wasn't. And, it is that thing of you look at a genre and some of them you kind of feel like, why would I ever bother dabbling? Some genres do lend themselves to a bit of healthy competition, and that's a good thing. I think the classic example that people cite nowadays is that, Bethesda are going to have to up their game with their fantasy open world sandbox RPG
Can't
games
be doing that no more
because of Witcher 3. So that's always a good thing. But yeah, I guess, it would be nice to maybe have some more westerns. But yeah, how do you, especially since the second Red Dead Redemption came out, like how do you possibly compete with that? Like, they've thought of everything in that it's like an actual Western sim. It's not just, if they brought out a game where it's like, in this game you specifically play as like, you're a bank robber and it's all these bank robbing missions and you just have a house that you live in. And it was a more like linear narrative, then you could say, okay, well, there's room for a train robber or a cattle rancher or a Native American. But it kind of allows you to do so many things in your spare time between missions that it's like they've covered all bases. No one can compete with that.
No. It's just when you look at the dominant, especially in genres, as you say, that are not particularly well served. If there's a game that is just undeniably top dog, especially I suppose Western is a good example because there really aren't that many Western games at all, and there haven't been for a while. But when you go to it's difficult to define any other genre like that. Cyberpunk is fitting into essentially a cyberpunk future.
Yeah.
I suppose there have been games like that, but nobody really has done it with the scope that they have. And any other game that's going to be set in that sort of period is only ever going to be compared unfavorably to it.
Yeah.
So there's probably a sense of self-preservation for developers and publishers just to stay away. And equally, it's not going to stop indie developers. I can guarantee you that there are hundreds of indie games set in the West and hundreds of indie games set in cyberpunk Futureland. But they will be of wildly differing quality.
Yeah.
And they're not going to offer you the same thing that Cowboy Simulator 2K19 can from Rockstar Games, where people worked, 6 weekdays or whatever it was that they were supposed to be working. It's just, you've got to, these companies have got to decide what they think that they can actually do well in. And if they're going to go toe-to-toe with a big, I think definitely someone, maybe THQ Nordic, should go toe-to-toe with 2K over a wrestling license, for sure, because 2K are not doing great. But equally, nobody can go after EA with the Star Wars license, because what are they going to do? Apart from, maybe make an Outer Worlds first-person shooter, but even if the first-person shooter controls are amazing and it plays brilliantly, it's not going to have the license of Han Sorbo and Luke Skywalker backing it up.
It's a license thing sometimes. You can make the best space opera, Battlefield-style game in the world, but, if it's not got a certain brand behind it, then the branded one is always going to win. There are some, definitely, I think time periods is the main thing that I would like to see more, like certain time periods rather than genres in particular. I really enjoyed, I talk about it quite a lot, Far Cry Primal. I really like the idea of a game set so far back into human history that you really don't have a lot of gadgets to play with. You just sort of building spears out of stones and sticks. And there are a fair few games like that now. There's you could argue that Ark is the game I was looking for. Ark. It's turned into a crow for a minute there. Ark Survival starts in that sort of thing. There's that game that's come out, I think it's out on PC now, not yet on console, but will be soon, called Ancestors, like the Human Odyssey or something like that, where you start as like a chimp or some sort of old grey ape that no longer exists, and you slowly evolve over time.
That's cool.
Also, Michel Ancel,
no.
I don't know where that came from.
No.
As well as his work at Ubisoft, worked with a company called, I think, Wild Sheep or Black Sheep, and they're making a game that was shown at E3 years ago called Wild.
I was about to talk about that. That's a PlayStation exclusive, was it?
Supposed to be.
I think
it's
so.
Still pre-orderable on Amazon.
It's
and
mad.
They're saying, there's no word that it's been cancelled, but it's just sort of vaporware. It looked really good. Like the gameplay that they showed, it's this whole thing where you're like a sort of a shaman in some sort
Neolithic
of fictional Neolithic time, and you can sort of possess different animals, and I think it's really up my street, but it just it's not there.
I was about to say that actually, because that's one that jumps to mind, but it's just been silent for years.
It has.
And I think there was a multiplayer element as well, where people could just sort of all jump in and possess different animals and stuff. It's a nice idea, but I don't know how that plays out in terms of an actual game.
No.
With an end goal. I would like to see more mascot races. Because we've got Sonic, and we've got Mario, and we've had Crash Team Racing Remake. I feel like we're not very well served in that regard, though. I love a kart racer, and there are so many crap ones that I'd like to see more with perhaps well-known licenses behind them.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as it would be, a PlayStation All-Stars kart racer, I think, would be really good fun.
That sounds great.
If it was competently made. We had Mod Nation Racers, which was like Little Big Planet, but for kart races where you could make your own tracks and customize your racer and stuff, but it never really took off.
Yeah.
So I just want a good, fun kart racer with known licenses in it. And that's what I'd like to see a bit more of. I don't think that genre is very well served at all.
Yeah. I also love the, not quite steampunk, like I think some people call it like gas lamp punk or something vibe of Dishonored.
Yes.
And I as much as I like my Neolithics, I like my Victorian games. I enjoyed Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that was an Assassin's Creed game. So although the world was really great, you're also just like fighting Templars, and I don't really want to do that.
Boring.
Don't make me do that.
Don't make me do that.
Please.
Meh. Thank you very much for that question, Luke. It's not necessarily a weird one, but something weird is about to happen.
It is.
It's time for weird news. It's time for weird news.
I've got some weird news for you.
I don't believe that you do.
I just shrunk about 1 inch if you're watching on the video, because I've just readjusted my cushion.
Took his cush off.
Took it from the seat to the back.
He previously had his cushion, and now he's got his cush off.
Yeah. So I'm an even tinier Peter all of a sudden.
News me.
Oh, I've got some actual. Oh, our elbows just touched.
Goodness, that's a bit weird.
Oh, I do also have some actual weird news from the gaming.
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about. I didn't realize you were doing Kush news.
That was both. But I've got something for you right now. Okay. I'd like to start with a headline.
Yeah.
The article wasn't interesting enough for it to actually be my weird news, but I'd just like to read this to you. Red Dead Redemption 2. I was going to read it off the URL, but it's just sort of keywords. I will open the article. Okay. Even with a $1,200 graphics card, you still can't max out Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC.
Okay.
So you can't get 60 FPS, even with the most expensive top-end consumer-level graphics card. That's according to NVIDIA.
Wow.
They recommend, various settings, and you still can't get 60 FPS.
So Red Dead 2 is finally out on PC now, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was an event where the press went and they played it on these computers. I don't know if it was a sort of a Red Dead event or actually an NVIDIA event, but they were playing it at what looked like top settings, but they were told that actually, no, even that wasn't actually as good as it's supposed to be able to be. Anyway, that's that. This just in, weird news. Criminals are using virtual money in video games to launder dirty money.
What?
Yeah. The criminals are money laundering in video games.
Okay. Is it EA?
This is according to Screenshot magazine.
Ooh,
we don't know
that one.
The history of gaming is a long and complicated one, but the last few decades have seen a transformation happening because of the video game industry, specifically as a result of personal computers, video games consoles that... What is this? Weird descriptions. I understand how gaming works, thank you very much. But essentially it says some people think that video games are bad and shouldn't happen, and bad things happen if you play games.
Yeah.
And recently something happened that almost kind of proves that point to a certain extent. The Counter-Strike Global Offensive game, which was initially launched in 2012, had more than 18 million unique users per month. Run by the gaming company Valve, Counter-Strike Global Offensive pits players against each other in two teams. The basic structure is they have to protect certain objects, try and garner loot and winnings, while eliminating the other team at the same time. During this time, gamers could earn loot boxes, but in order to open them, they had to buy a key from Valve. Okay. But this was only possible through the internal Steam marketplace, using real money. Boxes and keys were tradable on the Steam marketplace. A Vice investigation found that the majority of transactions that were taking place in this way were actually part of a worldwide, completely real fraud network.
Whoa.
As a result, nearly all of these transactions were identified as fraud-sourced, where criminals were using them as money laundering. The Counter-Strike Global Offensive was previously in the news for financial-related misdeeds.
Financial-related misdeeds.
Yeah, when two very popular streamers encouraged their fans to bet on certain cosmetic upgrades and attributes in the game without divulging that they would benefit financially as a result. Mm-hmm. But here's the money laundering. In order to launder money through a video game, a few different things have to happen. Cybercriminals hack into accounts, often unprotected or without two-factor authentication, and are able to use strings of numbers of stolen credit cards to purchase in-app money. These items and currency can then be resold on an online grey market, which I guess is not quite as bad as a black market.
No.
For a fraction of the price. So they sell them effectively at a loss. But because they're reselling them, then the source of that money gets a bit lost in the transaction. Mm-hmm. And so it's no longer obvious to either Valve or banks that money was garnered through hacking into someone's account and using stolen credit cards.
Oh, dear.
So that's essentially how it works. Now, this article goes on to say, since this has been discovered, Valve said it will be shutting down its online marketplace in order to stop such fraudulent practices from proliferating further. while Valve dealt with the problem quickly and efficiently by shutting down the entire marketplace altogether, this might not have been so easy for smaller game developers, and it's likely they'll see ramifications in terms of user satisfaction. I can't find anything to confirm that Valve have shut down their entire online marketplace.
I feel like I would have heard about this if
that's not true. What they've done is made it so that you can't now buy keys for these boxes on the online marketplace.
What's the name of this website?
Let me scroll up. Screenshot Magazine.
You're a bad website.
You're a bad website. I've even got a quote here, not from the article. This is from elsewhere, from Valve, that clearly states they're not shutting down the marketplace. It just says, at this point, nearly all key purchases that end up being traded or sold on the marketplace are believed to be fraud-sourced, Valve said in a statement.
Oh my God.
As a result, we've decided that newly purchased keys will not be tradable or marketable. So what they're saying is, if you've bought a key, which you may have bought using a false, stolen credit card, you can't then just immediately sell it.
So they've shut down the marketplace
under those specific...
Yeah, metaphorically in the sense that you cannot do that for keys anymore, but the marketplace is there.
It is, yeah.
That is a poor misunderstanding there from that website.
It is. It was also badly written. I really struggled to read that one out. But
that's some weird news right there, Peter.
It is pretty weird. Have you got something else that's weird and new?
I have. This is from Polygon, and it was written by our good friend Owen's Good.
Oh, Owen is good, yeah.
Owen is good.
And he writes better than that company whose name I've already forgotten.
Better than most. Call of Duty Modern Warfare has a wild Easter egg. An Activision game console.
What?
What? The subtitle says Actor-based console comes in 120 gigabytes configuration. Here we go. So this has no spoilers in. It's just in our level.
Okay.
As you're traipsing through the early goings of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, note the debris in the London Electronics Store. In this canon, Activision has released a console, and its controller is the most jacked-up take on twin analog gamepads that you can imagine. Meet the Actibase, which comes with a wireless controller, HDMI and AC power cables. Infinity Ward mocked up a console kiosk for the... I'm struggling to read it because my microphone's in there. Hang on, I'm an old man. Let me try this again. Okay. Infinity Ward mocked up a console kiosk for the... Oh my God, Peter, help. What's happening?
Infinity Ward knocked up a console kiosk for the fake console or something. What?
No, let me try again. I will get it right. Infinity Ward mocked up a console kiosk for the electronics store level, and so it needed a piece of hardware to fit the look. It's doubtful that console partners, Microsoft or Sony, would want their merch shot up, much less presented next to a slew of dead bodies which are off camera in our screenshots here. The packaging seems to show screenshots from past Call of Duty games. That appears to be Infinite Warfare at the far left, and at the far right, Call of Duty Dog from Ghosts, both Infinity Ward joints. But check out this decidedly unfunky controller. So there you go, Peter. There's the controller there.
Oh.
Screenshot's really dark for some reason.
I mean, it looks quite PlayStation-y in terms of its color. Like if you got a red PlayStation controller, it would sort of be like that, but... it's not very good.
It's weird. First of all, I'm gonna have to go to bed, Peter. I'm really sorry. We're gonna have to do this tomorrow.
That's okay.
First of all, the unergonomic layout of the face buttons is much worse than their Roman numeralizing. That's a bloody sentence, isn't it?
Oh, Owen's not so good today.
Next.
Well, no, I think it's us.
Look at that D-pad. Safe to say this is not the console for the fighting games community. Speaking of ergonomics, how about the console's big power button, just begging a curious household pet to disconnect you mid-match? So there's the console there. There it is. There's the Actibase.
Yeah.
So it's got like
a big power button.
It's got a whole setup and kiosk. Also, that controller is horrifying.
Oh no.
So bad. But it's set up in a kiosk. There's also like a fake box for it and everything, which I'm now struggling to find.
Maybe this is actually them announcing their new console.
Wouldn't that be crazy? There it is. For some reason, when I was on PC and I was looking at it on my computer web browser, I could see these screenshots really clearly, but in the embedded
maybe your phone
mobile article, it's just which is very, very hard to see. Activision was one of the first third-party console publishers, going back almost 40 years now, but never has the company had hardware ambitions. If the actor base is any indication, it should stay that way. Nice, destructible prop for an energetic shootout, but with only 120 gigabytes on board, it could hold maybe Modern Warfare and a couple of arcade titles. Shake my head. So there we go. There is the actor base is a console within Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
And it's a bad one.
And it's a real bad one. So keep an eye out for it when you're on the London level. Sorry for just slipping over every sentence in that article.
Well, you've made me feel a bit better about mine.
I really struggled with that one. I'm going to blame Owen, though. It was Owen's fault.
Down with Owen. No, thanks, Owen, for your sleuthing.
Thanks, Arthur.
As usual.
Let's thank another person. Let's thank Kieran Smith, Peter.
Kieran Smith, thank you.
Thank you.
For question number 3 of today's podcast. Kieran Smith asks, have you got any gaming regrets, i.e. game or console you passed on but wish in hindsight you hadn't? Yeah, sort of. Well,
Is it
sort of.
Is it though? Well, what have you got?
I do wonder whether I should have had a PS3 is my big thing.
Okay.
And I think the reason I hesitate is because actually it's not that I forewent an entire generation. I just had a 360 instead. And I had wonderful times on my Xbox 360. You know, I played loads and loads of Halo 3 multiplayer on Xbox Live. I played Halo Reach as well. I talk big game about Condemned Criminal Origins. I think it's one of the best Xbox exclusives out there. But the issue I now kind of feel I have is that I'm back with Sony. I had a PS1, a PS2. I'm now on PS4, and I kind of just feel like it would have been nice to just have like an unbroken run of PlayStations or Sony consoles, so that there wasn't a whole chunk of Sony history that I sort of missed out on. There's certain games that have gone across generations that are still being made now. Like I probably would have liked to play some of the God of War games.
Resistance.
Yeah.
Infamous.
Just various
Echo Chrome.
Right.
Super Rubber Dub.
Yes. Various PS3 exclusives
Pain.
that I don't even know about, barely, because I didn't even have one.
Warhawk. Starhawk. Motorstorm Apocalypse. That's the worst one.
Oh, no.
Gran Turismo Prologue.
No, you're all right. You can keep that one.
What else have we got? I'm just trying to think of the games that I suffered through in the early days. Unreal Tournament 3.
Oh.
You could have played that on your other one.
Well, that's just because you were disappointed with the lack of story.
Yeah, there was no story in there.
Yeah. So yeah, in that respect, it might have been nice to just fill that gap. So I had a complete run of the PlayStations. But
you were far from alone, though. A lot of people did that, didn't they? They went to 360 and then they came back for PS4.
Just that price point. That's partly why I don't regret it, is because, God,
it was crazy expensive. I saved up for a long time to get that thing. All of my paper round money.
Yeah, all of your tuppences.
All of my tuppences. It took me. I did it though. I got there. I saved up for it all. 400 and God knows what else.
Did you get tips on your paper round at Christmas? Did
Mrs.
Goggins? I bet Mrs. Goggins just gave you like a tangerine or something, and you were like,
"It was not a lot."
Go back in the house, Mrs. Goggins. I want a $5.
I threw it at her.
Yeah,
as she took the paper.
You sold it on the grey market.
I did. Yeah, and then Valve shut it down. No, sadly not. I didn't get a great deal of tips.
No, we used to tip our paper boy.
We got a little bit, but not from everybody.
Maybe it was just the postman and the milkman. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm just the paper boy. No one gives a damn about him on his micro scooter doing tricks on his pedal bike.
Slow down,
maniac!
Deliver my paper. Stop doing tricks.
I think they would rather I sped up actually.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a school day, they were not getting their paper until 11
Sunday.
Yeah, basically. And even on the school day, I was finishing off my paper round and I could see people waiting at the bus stop to catch the bus to go to school. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not always, I wasn't great at it, which is why I didn't get that. But no, I do understand the lack of PS3.
Yeah.
It got cheaper, though. It got a lot cheaper.
It did get a lot cheaper, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of, or any gaming regrets? Regrets?
Rugrats, I kind of regret not playing Metal Gear Solid earlier.
Right, okay.
Because when I played Ground Zeroes, the sort of weird, almost prologue for MGS5 that came out like the year before, or maybe even the same year, I can't quite remember exactly, but I reviewed it. And I went to a review event for it, and I remember being shocked that this review event was only one afternoon, because it's one level, and you sort of finish it in 40 minutes for your first playthrough, and I was like, this cannot be right. And my whole review was saying this, like, fundamentally the gameplay is incredible.
Yeah,
like, it's phenomenal, and the full game, if it's anything like this, is going to be amazing. But this package is a rip-off.
You expect
I was expecting a game.
Longer.
Yeah, I was expecting a game, and
right.
I didn't get one. You know, they were selling it on a disc and everything. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, I really want to be excited for Metal Gear Solid 5. So I went back, and over the course of the summer, I played Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, and I played a tiny bit of 4.
Right.
But 2 and 3 or 3, sorry, was the most important one because it was set before MGS5 was. So I played through all of those, and I absolutely loved them.
Yeah.
And I was gutted that, because I tried to play MGS1 a few times over the years, just the PS1 classic version on PSP, and I just couldn't do it. Couldn't bring myself to do it. But they're such good games. I have a couple of other regrets. One of them is that I threw away all of the boxes that all of my original Game Boy stuff came in, everybody did, because stupid cardboard box, get rid of that. But finding boxed games consoles and games, especially if they were cardboard, particularly Nintendo, that's a real get now.
They've all rotted away.
They're either all rotted away or everyone threw them away. So finding boxed stuff is getting very hard.
Yeah.
So I'm really annoyed that I threw all those away. And additionally, I did that thing that a lot of people did growing up, where in order to buy a new game, I traded in my old stuff.
Yeah.
So I have hardly any of my PS1 or PS2 games anymore.
Oh,
I've got most of
all of mine.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know you have. Yeah, you've got a huge collection. It's amazing. And I think I'm jealous of that, really. Every time I come to yours and I see all your PS1 games, I'm like, man, I'd never had anywhere near that amount of PS1 games.
Yeah.
But I think I used to have so many games that I loved that I just got rid of because I wanted to buy some stupid tank game because I was bored or something. But I've got all my PS3 games.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of PS3 games. I filled one of those massive leather wallets where you put the discs in.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of terrible games in there as well that we need to play at some point.
I'm the other way around, because that was sort of the time where I started doing a lot more trading in. So when I had my 360, I had quite a rapid turnover of stuff. I didn't keep all of those. I only kept like the ones that I really, really loved and didn't want to get rid of.
I think I definitely did that as well, but I've since gone back and rebought them.
Oh, I see.
A few years ago. Before the PS4 came out, I started to rebuy them just as I was... you reach a point where you start to get very nostalgic for the things that you had as a kid. So that's when the Game Boy collection started. That's when, and you start to make a bit of money as well. When you're working full time, you're like, I can buy, what should I buy?
Yeah.
Nonsense.
How do I spend all this as soon as possible?
Nonsense. I buy nonsense with it. So yeah, there's a couple of regrets there, but...
With your MGS one, I guess I kind of wish I'd played Final Fantasy VII and just really enjoyed it at the time, because I never played it. And now I just can't really get beyond just the way it looks. And I understand that people who did play it at the time, there's this big nostalgic value to it, and they're like, oh, it's beautiful in my eyes, and it's about the gameplay as much as it's about what it looks like and how it sounds. And I think, from my point of view anyway, I think the nostalgia carries it a lot. I think it's a sort of had to be there kind of moment. I don't know though. It's hard for me to say. It's a difficult one. Some people would say to me, "No, it's not like that. I think if I played it for the first time now, I would still really enjoy it." But in any case, I'm now debating whether when the remake comes out, I feel like I definitely want to play that, but should that be my first playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, or do you think I should sit and just sort of kind of slog through a game that I don't think I'm going to enjoy very much with zero nostalgia factor?
Well, firstly, I totally understand where you're coming from. I think the nostalgia carries the graphical shortcomings by today's standard for sure. I think the story and the gameplay are still phenomenal.
I'm sure
and
they
it definitely
are,
has moments where it's like, oh, this game's really good looking. You know, for the time, it was really good looking.
The cutscenes are good.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I had a really tough time with Metal Gear Solid. That game looks like arse, and a lot of people say no, it's like beautifully shot, and it's like, no, they look at them. They look like FIFA players.
Yeah,
from
so.
19, from the early PS1 FIFA games. Awful. It looks bad.
Yeah.
But I pushed through it, and I ended up really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I suppose, if you're the remake is going to mean so much more if you experience the original music and the original story.
Yeah.
Even if you just play the first disc, because that more than encompasses the plot that the remake is going to cover. This first part of the remake is going to cover. And this is just called Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. So I don't know what they're going to call the other ones. Remake 2? Remake 3? Remake Part 3?
Yeah, I mean,
Weird.
are they not just going to... That's what I assumed, that they would just put it in parts or numbers or...
I just don't know why this first one isn't called Part 1.
Yeah, I guess
sort of
so. I haven't
implies
really
that it's
thought
the
about
whole
that.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not.
True.
I'd say that you should, but it's a time investment, and you do have to stick at it. But it's really good. It's really good. It's a good game. Very good game.
It's time for something pretty big. It's even bigger from my perspective.
It's time for a big discussion. Oh, I just dropped just once the paper there.
Ooh, I'm really making a...
That poor paper.
Yeah.
Big discussion time. Peter, this week the big discussion comes to us from Victoria Pennington.
Thank you, Victoria Pennington.
The gold medal.
Is there that slight pause?
Pennington.
Victoria Pennington.
The gold medalist, the Olympic gold medalist for cycling. We joke, of course. That's Victoria Pendleman.
Oh, yes,
It's
of
not.
course.
It's not Victoria Pendleman at all. Morning, boys.
Victoria Pendlewitch.
Hope you what? Hope you're having a nice week. A recent Kotaku article, Diablo Immortal has basically turned into Diablo 3 on a phone, had me wondering, where's the line between games in a series being similar/familiar, because they are, after all, part of a series, and a developer essentially double dipping on their product? I'm not talking about porting to other consoles, but playing a game and feeling you might as well play the previous iteration for all the difference between them. Is it laziness, over-reliance on known assets, or completely fine and expected and I'm being too sensitive? Thanks and have a lovely day.
Well, this is... Yes.
Yes.
What I think about this is, if it's on a different platform, I don't really see the problem. So with this, I mean, I don't really know what's going on with Diablo, but Diablo 3 on a phone, well, okay, but maybe you want Diablo 3 on your phone. So just get Diablo Immortal. I don't think there's an issue with, kind of double dipping and bringing out what is being marketed as a new, different game, but is essentially just your old game. But, if it's on a different platform, then that's a reason to buy it, is the way I see it. But when I'm trying to think of an example, if a developer just brings out a sequel or something, which is kind of just a clone of the original, that does feel a little bit like, hang on, what are you doing here? That's what I used to think rather cynically about the Call of Duty games. Now, they obviously have really good campaigns in them that a lot of people don't even bother playing.
Nope.
Because they're just in it for the multiplayer. But I kind of used to think like, oh, well, that's just what... they all blur into one in my head because I've not owned one for a very long time. And so I don't have enough hands-on experience with any of them to actually know which one is which when I look at footage. And I think that's a giveaway straight away. If it's not even that obvious from watching 10 minutes of gameplay, like which version of the which game you're looking at in the series. But yeah, I don't know. But then on the other hand, you could say, well, different maps, different guns, different abilities and kill streak rewards in every game. It's not just a rinse and repeat thing. They're not just the same game. They have different things in them. So
that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think to a certain extent, if it's a sequel or it's in the same series, it's sort of got to feel familiar.
Yeah.
You do get games that have big leaps between them. Red Dead 1 and 2, for example, are worlds apart. But
Red Dead Revolver to Red Dead Redemption is a completely different game.
Exactly. But in terms of 1 to 2, there's way more in 2, and it's presumably on an upgraded or brand new engine, and it looks gorgeous. And there's a million different things that you can do that you couldn't do in Red Dead 1. But you can't put them side by side and not say those look like the same game.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it is. I feel like maybe that doesn't happen so much anymore. Perhaps, again, cynically, you could put Hotline Miami 1 and Hotline Miami 2 next to each other and say, well, it's just...
Which one's which?
It's just the same game, isn't it? But it's as long as there's more stuff in it. I do understand what Victoria is saying, though. I don't think it happens much anymore, though.
No.
I feel like back in the PS1 era, and I'm sure you'll dispute this heavily because there will be differences, but Crash 1 and 2 probably could have been the same game if they were on the same disc.
I think, Crash 2 had a lot of improvements to it. That it was a game that had new content. I think arguably Crash 2 and 3 are actually a lot more similar to each other.
Right.
Although there's a lot of unlockable abilities in Crash 3 as well. But Crash 1, I would argue, does feel quite different to number 2 in terms of you can only spin, you can't skid or crouch. There's no belly flop ability in Crash 1.
Yeah.
Crash 1's very basic. And, you just got your islands that you're walking around one by one rather than the warp rooms. I don't know. It completely depends on like your criteria and what you count as being worthy of what counts as being different enough, or where is the line? And I guess that's a very subjective thing from one person to the next.
Yeah.
Again, I would even say that maybe Spyro 2 and 3 are actually very similar mechanically.
I was going to say that, actually.
Yeah.
Because once you start up Spyro 3, you're like, right, okay, get all the gems, get all the collectible things that are relevant to this game and not the previous one, being eggs.
Yeah.
Do that 100% each level, defeat a boss. It's formulaic, but it is undeniably a new game. I was racking my brain trying to think of an example, because I'm sure there are some, but they're probably really, really low-tier PS2 games. Like, I know I mentioned a tank game earlier, but I did buy a tank game that I'd never heard of on PS2, and it was like maybe the second or third one in the series. I was thinking, if I get the other ones, I know that they are just more of this.
I've thought of one.
Yeah?
The London Racer series.
That's very true.
Was actually just kind of re-released under various different names with slight changes to certain levels. Yeah.
I don't think it happens at the top tier.
No.
Because even if a game is very, very similar, it is still a new game because it's got either a new story or... Yeah, you're right. There's a line. But I don't think it's crossed very often anymore.
No.
Just because it's not worth it being crossed, because the outrage of the internet will destroy any reputation that you have. You don't want that. Maybe it happens with indie games. As I said, Hotline Miami 1 and 2, phenomenal games. You put them side by side, you probably could have bundled them. Hotline Miami 2 could have started directly after the end of Hotline Miami 1's last level.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But it's still a very good game.
And at least, it's not like they were released concurrently, they made Hotline Miami 1. It did really well, probably better than the developers expected. And then they thought, we better make a sequel. And, in that respect, it doesn't really matter if they're churning out almost identical stuff. It's just like, as long as it's not the same levels, which it's not, it's all new levels, then that's fine. No one really asked them to, bring out Hotline Miami 2, but also make it like really quite different. Everyone said, bring out more of this. I just want more of this, please.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's maybe a criticism leveled more at wonky to bad games than good ones, because good ones, it's like, yeah, more of this, love it, great stuff.
Yeah.
But if you go and you look at, for example, Resident Evil 6, and I've gone on record and said that I actually enjoyed Resi 6 because I think the co-op is really fun and you can just laugh at it the whole way through because it's undeniably a bit wank. But then you've got Resi 5 being very similar control-wise.
Yeah.
You think, well, I might as well just go play that. Just go do that one instead.
And Resi 5 is very similar control-wise to Resi 4 as well.
Yeah.
They're very similar
And then
games
Resi 4
in
is
many ways.
way better than both of them.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a criticism that exists and is valid, but equally I feel like it's one of those things, it's just one of those criticisms that are exclusively leveled at bad games because they're bad.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to play this, I might as well play the last one. It's just one of the things that people say when faced with a sequel that's maybe not very good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think all the examples we've been able to come up with in the, that are sort of AAA-ish are like, all we're really talking about is the concept of a sequel, which is more of this good thing, please, or maybe not even good thing, but more of this, please, that sold well.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can criticize that at all. That's just how sequels work.
And if you don't like those, then God help you with Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
You might as well play Shield. Sword is rubbish.
Yeah, God.
It's just the same.
I guess the one other thing probably worth that's somewhat relevant is, again, something we talked about last week, which is annual sort of episodic, well, not episodic, but yeah, annual release games. So the likes of your 2Ks and maybe your FIFAs as well. Assassins, yeah.
Although they're not really annualized anymore. But
No, but once they were once upon a time. And when they're kind of just releasing one for the sake of, oh, well, enough has happened in a year that like we can just slightly change all the roster and stats and now you have to buy a new one, even though it's very similar to what was released last year.
Yeah.
That's a little bit like, well, okay, we shouldn't really be doing that.
But going back to your example, Victoria, about Diablo on the mobile and thinking, well, I might as well just go play actual Diablo 3.
Yeah.
I think that's something a lot of people have, especially with mobile games, have had perhaps, where it's sort of like a watered down, not quite as good version. There's a Mario Kart game now, and I've heard it's great, but I can guarantee that a lot of people will have played it and thought, I just want to get my Switch and play actual Mario Kart 8 now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think like if you buy these games, these mobile versions, thinking, oh yes, it's another installment to the series that I really like, then you're going to play it and probably be disappointed. But if you buy it thinking, oh, this is good because I really like Diablo 3, but I can't take that on the go. What I'll do is I'll get Diablo Immortal and I'll be able to play it on the train. Then that's a good thing. But yeah, if you're going into that expecting like, Diablo 4 or 5 or whatever we're on now, that's not what you're going to get. And yeah, you're right. In that respect, it's not worth, getting a very similar game just because it's on your phone.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that helps, Victoria. And those of you listening / watching at home, please let us know if there are any games that you thought that you might as well have just played the last one.
Yeah.
This is stupid. Why am I playing this watered down re-release when I could just be playing the original OG big bad boy gangster? A little dab
It's
there.
a sort of sad bass.
If there's anything else that we've talked about that you would like to wade in and comment on, you can do in a multitude of places, Peter.
Yes, you can.
He's just pulling the rest of his script out of his shirt now that he ripped off at the start. Excellent. Put it back together. Do you need some tape or are you good? Okay, he's good. He's got it. Yep, that's it. He's not making a meal of it at all, so it's going right. Okay. You got it? He's piecing it together.
I folded it in my shirt and it's not a good idea.
Oh dear.
No, it won't really stay flat. We are everywhere.
Yes.
Almost everywhere. At Team TripleJump. That's YouTube and Twitch if you want to see our video and streaming content / Team TripleJump. We've got a mod or two who do look after the chat when we're streaming on YouTube and Twitch. That's Lord Brotovich and Cecil Prumps. Remember, Twitch is twitch.tv, not twitch.com. We're on Twitter and Facebook / Team TripleJump. And Luke Eldon is over on our Facebook making it good and crap.
Making it rain.
Good, yeah, making it rain with all the Facebook monies. There's none of those. We've got a Patreon. That's patreon.com/Team TripleJump, where you can get all kinds of rewards. Like, for example, you can go to our Discord, which is bit.ly/Team TripleJump, moderated by Jack Bradshaw. Thank you, Jack.
And newcomer Joe.
Yes, of course. We've got a new mod now. And one of the Patreon rewards is there's a special room over there just for patrons.
One other thing before you continue.
Yes.
I believe Jack is starting a TTT server.
Yes, that's right.
So for anybody who wants to go play some Gmod, some Trouble in Terrorist Town, then head over there. There's a special channel on the server, and I think there are going to be semi-regular games organized that people can come along to if they want.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yes.
The podcast, if you're watching the video version, you can get an audio version at play.acast.com/s/TripleJump. And our website is triplej.merp. We've got a store there. We've got a careers page, which has nothing on it at the moment because we're not currently looking for freelancers.
But we're talking about it anyway.
We might want some soon, but not right now.
Not right now.
And that's it.
It's to say.
That's my bit.
Wonderful. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can do. At @PeterAustin and at @confused_dude. Instagram at @PeterAustin and at BenPotter20. We do lists every Tuesday and Thursday. Streams every Monday, Tuesday and Thursday. Monday and Tuesday being solo streams on Twitch and Thursday being on YouTube with both of us. Worst Games is fortnightly. You get that 2 days early if you're a patron of a certain tier, and Sunday for everybody else. No Worst Games this week, but it will be a Worst Games next week.
This Friday.
Coming up, podcast is every Saturday, and we also do loads of other shows as well. This week, we did Prove It. Prove It returned.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. Those videos are kind of hard to put together, and we struggle to find the time, but it's the second episode of Prove It is out on the channel.
Yes.
So please go and watch that. It's all about Big Smoke's GTA order from San Andreas. You know, the meme.
The number 9.
The number 9.
And the number 9 large.
Just number 6 with extra dip.
Yeah.
2 number 45s, one with cheese.
Number 27.
And a large soda, I think. Something like that. Anyway, you should go watch it. It's good fun. Both parts. The Let's Play and the live action finale of it. Finally, please leave us a review on iTunes or your platform of choice. It helps. Something to do with algorithms. And there'll be a video going out on the channel tomorrow at the time of release explaining how you can send stuff to us for a special unboxing opening video we're going to do around Christmas. We won't be accepting submissions forever, so please go and watch the video for more information on that. Should be on the channel tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
That's all.
Leaves just enough time for me to once again thank our sponsor, Death Sanding. We'll sand you dead. Bring out your dead and we'll sand them good. Good and good. We'll collect all the little dead shavings that have been sanded off. We put them all together, make a delicious biscuit, and give it to someone you don't like.
And when they taste it, they'll say, this tastes a bit. This is going to be
Tastes
very.
like you've-
This is going to be very laboured. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This tastes a bit. This tastes a bit peaty.
A bit peaty.
This tastes a bit peaty.
Oh, I see, a bit peaty.
This tastes a bit peaty.
It's a bit peaty. Tastes a bit like you've sanded down a dead person and made the sandings into a biscuit. A bit peaty.
Yeah, it's a bit peaty for me. Anyway, we're going to go now. Have a lovely weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.